So the last video on the stereo envelope phaser reminded me of one of the mono-mono effects that actually uses a distortion unit coupled with a phaser. So let's check that thing out. I'm just going to use a sawtooth for this. Let me route to the insert effect. And I will choose, it's really far down the list. Let's see here. It's going to be the overdrive and phaser. Here we are. So this is a phaser coupled with a distortion. I'm going to zero out some of these parameters. But this just means we can do the same trick that we did with the two units, but this is both of them combined into one. Zero this out. It's not all the way low. I like triangle for this. Okay. One thing, I'm not going to be messing with the output mode, but it's. Let me just explain what this does real fast. This is just like the stereo mode of the black chorus pedal. It just allows this mono effect to sound in stereo by doing a polarity flip on the right channel only. So this is, just think of this as like a stereo mode button or a stereoizer button. Yeah, but we're here to replicate what we did with the wave shaper and phaser, but we have it in the same unit. Instead of a wave shaper, we're using a regular drive algorithm. But just like we could see the transfer table with the wave shaper, we can see the curve of the drive with this unit. So we have a sawtooth, and let me first of all just look at the left channel only is fine, and let me route to our individual output so we can see it. And I'll use at low C. Also, let me change the amp so we don't get that weird little jump in the beginning. Yeah, I just like seeing it plain. Alright. Now let's look at the curve of this distortion. A saw is definitely the best shape to see because there's a nice linear graduation. So we know that whenever something is remapped along this linear line, that it's going to take the exact correct shape. It's not getting it's not being remapped in a way that is offset by some curve of the waveform. It's just a nice ramp, linear ramp, where the values are being offset exactly according to the wave shape. So let's see what overdrive looks like. Let's turn it on. Remember, this is dry right now. Also, I might as well do this right now. I'm going to flip the order. I want the phaser to come first because remember, we need the phaser before the wave shaping, or in this case, distortion, in order to get the effect that we're looking for. So we can already see the curve of this shape. I'm going to switch it to the HiGain algorithm. Let me take down the output a little bit, and I'll take down the gain. So that is a pretty interesting wave shape. You can see it's a pretty gentle curve. It looks like a sawtooth from an MS-2000, which is pretty interesting. So I have a nice bit of gain here. Let's see if I wanted it to be more or less. This is good. It's quite a bit. Let me match it with the dry signal real fast. That's fine. Okay. So now that we have that all taken care of, let's mess with the phaser. I just want to give it some depth. This depth parameter is only going to move the phaser up. It's unipolar. So right now we are at the lowest value. So if I just give it some depth, we will start to see wave shaping. We'll, more importantly, hear it because it's going through the distortion. And we will only hear it if we're listening to the all the way wet. and I have to turn it on in order for us to hear that. This is too much. Let's slow it down. See how it changes if we flip the wet to negative wet? It's pretty much the same. Yep, it's the same. I'll just leave it on full wet. This might matter if we were doing like in between parts. Let's try doing a summation with 50-50. In this case, we will get actual loss of information from the phasing. Interesting. And if we go negative 50, we're going to get that kind of high pass filter effect, which I do not like. It dips too much of the signal. I'm just going to leave it all the way wet. Let's try giving it some resonance. Let's try playing chord. Sounds pretty interesting. Of course, we have an EQ here as well, which can add a lot. Let's see what happens if we boost the gain. I think I liked it better where it was at. So yeah, the whole point of this video is just to show that we could do that same trick with the wave shaping and phasing to change the sound of the distortion, but all in one unit, which is pretty nice. So that's it. Thanks.